All right, the Mastercraft tiller project. 5 horsepower Briggs overhead valve. Kind of old-timey, really beat up. Take a look at it right here. Just horrible. Right, so I'm basically taking it from this to this. So as you can see here, she's in nice shape right now, but we're going to kind of traverse through time. 4/21/23. Absolute mess. Got it from Mikey, pulled from the dump, and I went over the whole machine. So not only is the machine really bad and really dirty, but at some point we'll do a little flashback on this. I also want to show you the motor, and the carburetor was unknown. He bought a new one. We'll get to that later. The motor had kind of locked up, hydrolocked from water, and this is a very common problem where the muffler is sticking up and the water goes in. And depending upon the situation you're in, the condition, if the valve is closed, everything fills up with water over time, and then you go and pull it over and you dump all of that water back, usually from the exhaust valve into the engine. So if it's sitting on the back of the valve, it can make the valve stick, which it did either way, and it can damage the engine. So if the valve is open, then that water is filling up your combustion chamber, and depending on where your piston is in the slug, right? If it's down, it can fill up with a lot of water and destroy the rings, destroy the cylinder wall. If it's up, it's not as bad. Either way, I kind of refresh on this project. I just want to show you again a little bit about what I went through to kind of get it going, what it looked like, how it is now, and it runs good. And then last year I ran it, and you're going to see a similar problem crop up again. We're going to flash back to when I first kind of got this thing going. I used it, put it away nice, as I'll show you later, and then took it back out last year and then used it again, and you'll see that in this episode as well. And it did stumble. It's not running 100%, but it ran okay. I had to put a little choke on to keep her going. And I'm not going to show this year yet because I haven't gotten to it yet. You know, we're still in March. So let's take a walk through time. Two different sessions, different years. I think we're going to need to kind of pull that carburetor off and freshen it up and take a good look. And we'll get to that later. Let's get started. Start it right up. Needs to be tuned. All right, let it run out of gas. Yeah, it's like black, brown, and silvery. And this should be on my channel, I'm pretty sure. I had to rebuild it. It was dead. Motor was locked up. Valves locked up. Had water in it. Carburetor was shot. It's another one I built from like a couple of different machines. Flashback. Let's do a quick flashback through time to take a look at what this thing was like when I got it from Mikey. It was a mess. Just absolutely gross. Let's see. So you can see, I mean, it was just jammed up, left to sit outside. And one of the problems with these kinds of engines, these overhead valve Briggs engines, the muffler's way up high and water gets in. And depending on whether the valve is open or closed, you'll have different conditions. I talk about that in a video, but yeah, you could really screw up the engine, and it did. And you can see how filthy it was. You know, people don't take care of these things. It's horrible. Yeah, I'm trying to loosen things up so I can get, it's embedded, the dirt. It's everywhere. And I want to get the motor off, and I want to get as much off and get to as much as I can so we can get it cleaned up. You'll see I'm trying to free up the valve. Water came in through the exhaust. I'm lubricating the hell out of it with my tranny sauce mix. So now I'll go over the ignition, make sure you got spark, and everything seems to be good. That's where it's coming in from there. So I took that off as well. Final adjustments. With a little bit of paint, right out, right? But like I said, the water just will come in. Now that deflector, I think it should be aimed down. And then there's this carburetor, completely unknown. I don't know what it is. It's not HIPAA. I don't think so. We ordered it on Amazon. Try to adjust everything, get the governor going smooth, make sure everything is aligned right because they loosened everything up.
Got it! Woo-hoo! Not bad.
There you go. There's your miss. It's running about 3480, so we don't have to adjust anything in here. That's fine. We do have some adjustment for total RPM over here, and I bring it down to idle. We'll retest idle later, and it looks like it's leaking. So I had to put the choke on a little bit. And what that did was it sort of richens up the mixture a little, right? Cuts back some of the air. And it ran smoother. So we need to drill the carburetor out. Also, it does feel like it's leaking. It really does. And I don't trust this weak little gasket here. So let's take the carburetor back off, bring it over on the bench. I'll drill out the jet a little bit and see if I have another bowl gasket, and then we'll retest it. All right, so what I was getting is that's 0.028 on the factory hole size from the manufacturer. I went up the next size, which is 0.0292, so it's a little bit bigger. And this bowl is just not very good. This is the gasket. So I put a good used gasket on. It's a bit more pronounced. So going with a Briggs bowl, cleaned it up a little bit. You know, it's not perfect, but it's a better bowl. I think it's a better design. Let's slappy this together and put it back on. We'll do another test. And I think this is on tight enough. It shouldn't be leaking. If not, then if I still see it's leaking, we'll put a different fuel line on and retest just to make sure before we put the tank on, right? All right, I carefully put some fuel in it, and I'm not feeling anything. There's no leak. So let's test it and see. So put a little choke on, well, full choke. Let's give it a shot. That's better. There's your idle. Not bad. Gotta warm up.
Eventually.
Oh, that's nice.
End of flashback.
Let that drip out. Before we go to use it, it needs its oil change. This might be its first real oil change. Before I use it now, let's let that drip. Go make some coffee. I'll come back, close it up. It's a nice level table, so I'll set it level and we'll get the correct amount of oil back in. Wow, that's nice. I'm going to put mostly 1030 and a little bit of the 1540 Rototiller in there. Both synthetic blends. That one's a diesel oil, so it's going to have a few more things in there that should help it out. Yeah, because this thing was a mess. And these are kind of nice. So you fill from the top, leave the cap on, but then don't overfill it. Try about 20 ounces or so, but and then you'll see it'll come. If you can, try to get it to midway on the threads. This one's a little bit overfilled, but it'll be fine. So this pin, I've not been able to, I got the pin out, but I've not been able to move this time. But these are all good, so I like to spend some time and lube everything up. This is where I often talk about like using used oil, you know, from all my vehicles and stuff. And I kind of just, you know, after I wash it, I dry it off. It's not very nice out today, but I dry it off and then I wipe everything down. I get oil in there. This one's starting to move. One of the other ones was jammed up, so I took the pin out and I went and used it. I think it was like last year, and that pretty much loosened it up. But this one's still stuck. It's too close to this rubber seal, so I can't heat it. It doesn't take that much more effort. It was full of mud. Best time to get the mud off is when you just get done with the machine. Just take the mud off of it, wash it off, blow it, let it sit. I ran the engine out of fuel. I sucked what fuel was in the tank. I let it run out. As these machines get older, you might want to give them a little bit more attention. All ready to be put away. Just kind of straightening up in the shed a little whilst I do other things. She's all ready. Lawn Chief, Mastercraft, by Arch, brought back to life by Arch. Arch's Garage.
1 hour later.
Let's see. That's the black gold. It's starting to dry out a little bit. Walk away, let the birds pick at all the grubs and whatever's in there. Yeah. That's sweet dirt. Remember now, this thing gets used maybe twice a year and I put it away. Maybe twice, usually just once. This year, what I'm thinking is a couple of things. I might want to take the carburetor off because it sat a lot, and it did run good, as you saw. And then last year, it didn't run as good, but I got the job done. You put the choke on a little bit, and it costs a little. Make sure you got the tank mostly full, because the way the tank is, right, that's another issue with a lot of these things. The fuel sloshes around, she starts to starve. You got air gets in, and it'll cough, and that can, because as you drive the tank down, and you pull the tank down in fuel, right, it's coming down, the feed's on the bottom, but everything's leaning forward, and so they put the pickup over here. Here's the water line on my glass. They put the pickup here. And even though it'll kind of come back, but you get an air pocket in. And then you'll start thinking, oh, the carburetor's no good, or whatever. All right, so that's that. Because my channel's been around now for at least 5 years, and I've done a lot of this work, a lot of people have written back to me and said things like, Arch, why are you using the original carburetor? Why are you going through all of this with these carburetors? You could just buy one for $25, And some people have good luck with it, some people don't. Because the carburetors are all different. And I bought a bunch of carburetors for my Tecumsehs, and I still haven't released that video. And I measured all of the jets, and they're different by 1,000s or 2,000s or so, and that's a lot. The carburetors are made differently than the OEM because of patent issues and whatever. You have to change some percentage. I think it's like 10%. You have to change a little bit of something. And they also don't know exactly what the engine size, so they make some of these carburetors for all of these engines to fit a few different variants. You may be getting getting a carburetor that's too big. You might be getting a carburetor that's too small, or too small in the jet size. And the other thing, thirdly, really is that if you've got a machine operating up in Colorado somewhere in the mountains or upstate, and you're at 3,000 feet or 2,000 feet above sea level, you're going to need a very different jetting than down here, literally 2 feet above sea level, where I get maximum air pressure and everything. You're going to need a different jetting and possibly a different carburetor. And then, of course, the quality, right, of some of these things, they've gotten better. I use a lot of HIPAA stuff. Even they had problems in the beginning. The quality has gotten better. So if you've got an original equipment carburetor from that engine, from your area, and it ran well, why not try and rebuild it? Instead of pinching every penny and coughing up all of this time, because, you know, you're going to pay for it somewhere. So that's my take on the carburetor issue. Now, lastly, I think, what did I say, it was 0.292, whatever. What I have found for 190cc, roughly 5 horsepower engines in my area at sea level is 30 thousandths. It's 0.030 is about as big as you'd ever want to go. If you're at 30 thousandths, you may well be, you know, drilling it out. There's something else going on. The motor's getting tired, something leaking, could be an air leak, valves aren't seating right, rings aren't doing so well. You're burning fuel for the sake of it just to keep the motor running a little bit longer. That's kind of rare. I don't want to drill the main jet out. I might want to polish it. I have those little knurled sort of rods that you can stick in as part of the carburetor cleaning kits. I also have a number of kits for my welder, to sort of clean up. 030 is a common size for a lot of welding, MIG welders. You want to go in there with something a little smaller and polish it, not drill it, polish it, make sure everything's clean. And then lastly, I'll get your head on this. Okay, so that's the main jet. So if you're still experiencing some of these issues, after you've cleaned it and everything else, we may want to reach in there and drill out the idle jet a little bit. And I think that might do it. If I'm going to drill anything out now after cleaning, it's going to be the idle jet. All right, let's get out of here. I'll see you guys later.